Hi writers, it's Miss Saturnine here, and we are on the next step of our writing process because last week we brainstormed and now we will begin drafting, okay? But before we start drafting, it's kind of nice sometimes when we make a plan for our writing instead of just writing, because sometimes when we write, we have all crazy ideas that we really want to get on paper and we're really excited, but then we start to write them all out of order and we get mixed up. So before we do begin drafting, we're going to do a super quick plan. I'm going to show you how we do that, and then we can begin to write. So let's take a look today first at our writing process and where we are in it. Okay, here's our writing process. And we just brainstormed last week with our narrative, opinion, and information lists that we made with those ideas. Now today and this week, for the most of the week, we're going to be drafting. Drafting is the stage of the writing process where we write. Okay, so let's take a look at our objective today, our goal. I can draft, and under that, our goal for today is I can plan the structure of my writing and get ready to write. Now, when I say I can plan the structure of my writing, I mean we're going to plan according to the genre we are working in, right? So let's take a look back at structure, because we talked about that in our chart here when we looked at all our exemplars from each genre: narrative, information, and opinion. And let's take a look at some things we notice, because we're all going to plan regardless of what genre we're working on. And I'm going to show you how you plan for narrative writing, for information, and for opinion. So if you'll notice, all the structures are almost similar in some ways because they all have introductions, right? They also all have conclusions, okay? Every piece we have here has a conclusion. And then we, of course, have our body. So what's happening on the inside between the introduction and that conclusion. So even though everything's a little bit different, we do have something in the middle. So for a narrative, we have a beginning, middle, end, right? In an information book, we have chapters, ready? Chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. And in our opinion pieces, we have reasons, okay? Reason 1, why I like this, reason 2, and reason 3. So you could kind of narrow those all three down, and we're going to plan them using a tool that's going to help us. Regardless of what genre you are writing in today, this tool can help you plan for your story. So let's take a look. So this is the tool we're going to use today to help us plan our writing. It's called a Foursquare writing grid, and you're going to use it no matter what genre you decide to write in. So if you feel like today you want to use one of your ideas from last week from your narrative list, you can use this to help you plan a narrative. If you have a really good idea you were excited to write about that was a how-to book, an information idea, you can use this also to plan your information book. An opinion piece also works in this planning tool as well. So everyone today is going to use this Foursquare writing grid to plan their writing, and then they're going to write, okay? So I'm going to show you a little bit how it works. In the middle of the box, you kind of have your introduction, your topic sentence, whatever you want to call it, intro paragraph, okay? And this is the main idea of what you're writing, right? If you're writing a narrative, it's what you're writing about, your story. It's what you're going to say in your introduction, right? Your hook. If you're writing an information piece, it's your introduction to that. What are you telling me what you're teaching me about? If it's your opinion piece, you're stating your opinion here, right? I think Thor is better than Captain America, or whatever it is you choose to write about. Now, in each of these grids here, 1, 2, 3, this is where it's going to change a little bit depending on the genre, but it's still going to work for every genre. And I'm going to show you in a second how we do that. And the conclusion is just that, a conclusion where you wrap up, right? And you state how you feel, your feelings on the topic you're writing about today. So I'm now going to show you how to fill in this Foursquare writing grid depending on what you decide to write today. Okay, folks, so let's start with a narrative. If you are choosing to write a narrative today, you go back to the list you wrote last Wednesday, you see narrative ideas, and you're just like, Ms. Saturnine, I really love this idea. I want to write a narrative today. So you are going to do exactly this. You're going to pick the idea you want to write about today. I'm going to write about horseback riding in Cuba, right? That is the idea I'm picking. And I know today I'm writing a narrative, decided. So then in your notebook, you're going to draw yourself a Foursquare grid, just like I showed you, okay? This is how you do it. You're going to write today's date. You're going to put narrative on top because that's what you're writing today. Then you're going to divide your paper up into 4 sections, 1, 2, 3, conclusion, and in the middle you have your introduction. All right, folks, this is how your Foursquare grid should look in your notebook. Please don't forget to put the title, the genre you're writing in, okay? If you're doing an information piece, put information up here. If you're doing an opinion piece, write opinion, okay? But right now I'm showing you, I'm going to write a narrative, so I labeled it narrative, okay? And now, if you're doing a narrative, this is how it's going to go, okay? Your introduction is what your story is about. How are you going to start your story, right? We often start out with a question or we ask a hook, right? So if I'm writing about my horseback riding trip to Cuba, I'm going to think of an interesting way to start. Now this grid, you're not going to write your whole story on this grid. This is just to plan the order of your piece. So don't get too concerned with tiny details. You just want a basic outline here. Okay, so this is what I came up with. In your introduction box, it's a good idea for narratives to say your title, right? Because that's what you're going to start talking about in your introduction. You're going to say what this story is about. And that story for me was my horseback riding adventure, right? So before, when I do start writing, I'm going to elaborate on this more, say more about my horseback riding adventure. I even included how I think I want to start. I'm going to start with dialogue. I'm going to say, I've never done this before. So I think I'm going to start my story like that. So you can include a topic sentence in there if you want, but you really want to make sure you have kind of almost like your title. What is the story about? Now, for 1, 2, 3, these boxes are going to be the events that happen in your narrative. So for number 1, I'm going to use the word first. What happened first in your story? What happened next? What happened last or after even? Because your conclusion is going to be a wrap up, right? So I'm going to show you, for example, what happened first in my story was I was feeling very nervous to go horseback riding, right? First, I was very nervous, and I'm going to talk about that more when I write it. I was very nervous. Next, once we started, I got better at it, but it started to rain. So I got better, but it started to rain. Oh no, that's a problem. But it started to rain, right? A lot, very hard. And then last, it stopped raining and we saw a beautiful rainbow. And we saw a rainbow. Now, this is not my whole story. This is just an idea of what I need to make sure I say. But in between, there's a lot of other things that happened. So when I'm actually writing, I'm going to add those things in. And we saw a rainbow. And then my conclusion is my wrap up. How do I feel after the story? What do I feel after? My conclusion is I had a great time and I hope to do it again, or I had a great time and I made like one of the best memories, right? A great memory. So my conclusion is my wrap up. You could say, restate what you said here, right? I had a great time and I made a great memory. Right? Okay, so friends, that's for a narrative. This is how you Foursquare plan for a narrative, right? I'm going to show you now how to Foursquare plan for an information book. So today, if you're writing an information book, tune in here. Friends who are writing an information book today, the first step you want to do is to go back to your information ideas list and pick one of those things that you are excited to write about today. So I'm looking at my list, and today I think I'm going to write a how-to book about how to kayak, okay? Now that I have picked my idea for the day, I'm going to go to my Foursquare grid that I wrote. I put the date. I titled it information because that is the genre I am writing. I'm writing a how-to book. It's an information book. And now it's going to be a little bit different, but the same structure, right? We start with our introduction, we end with our conclusion. Okay, so for introduction, you want to introduce what you are writing about, right? Just like in the narrative, we talked about the title. This is going to be kind of like your title too. Okay, so this is what I came up with. I said, kind of like what my title will be, How to Kayak. That's what this piece is about. When I write my introduction, I'm going to say more. For now, I just write the basics. I even put a topic sentence like I did before. I'm going to start with a question. And I'm going to say, have you ever been kayaking? So now I know exactly where I'm going to start when I do begin my writing. Okay, now we're going to look at this 1, 2, 3 and see what it is we are going to put there. Okay, so now, So now if you're writing an information piece, the 1, 2, 3 is going to be your chapters. Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, right? So Chapter 1 for my How to Kayak book is going to be what you need, right? So it's going to be Chapter 1. It's all about what you need, the materials you need, what you need. So I'm going to put chapter here, just so you know for information, it's Chapter 1, okay? Chapter 2. For my kayaking book is going to be how to enter the kayak, right? How to get in safely. How to get in safely in the kayak or the boat, right? Kayak is a boat. How to get in the kayak safely. Okay, and chapter 3 is going to be how to paddle the kayak. Now, when I write my actual how-to, I'm going to say how I do these things. When I talk about how to paddle the kayak, I'm going to say first, you have to move your arms back and forth. Make sure you grip the oar tightly so you don't let go. Okay, this is just to lay out how we're going to be writing. And then in my conclusion, I do a wrap up, just like I did before. I believe last time, or when we read our exemplar about fencing, he wrapped up his steps. So I'm just going to say something like, I hope you learned a lot about kayaking. Now you go try, or something like that. It's going to be more than that, but this is a good start. Okay, so that's planning for an information book. Now, friends today who are writing an opinion piece, tune in here, because now I'm going to show you how to plan for an opinion writing piece. My friends today who decide they want to write opinion or persuasive pieces. The first step you're going to do is you're going to go back to the list of ideas you came up with last week, and you're going to pick the one you want to write about today. So today I'm going to pick Captain America is my favorite Avenger. That is what I'm going to write about. And I'm going to go to my Foursquare grid, write the date, and put opinion, persuasive, because that is what I'm writing today. Now we start with my introduction. For opinion piece, your introduction is going to be your opinion. What do you think? So I'm going to write my opinion in the middle and maybe a possible topic sentence. Okay, and this is what I came up with. Here's my opinion. Captain America is my favorite Avenger. And here's a possible topic sentence. I said all the Avengers are great, but Captain is the best. Now, for opinion, your 1, 2, 3 is going to be your reasons why you think why you stated your opinion. So, number 1 is my first reason why Captain is my favorite. Number 2, second reason, and number 3, third reason, right? So my first reason Captain is my favorite is because he is the leader of the Avengers, right? He is the leader, and that's really cool. My second reason that he is my favorite is because I believe he has the best superpowers. He has the best superpowers. And my third reason he is the best is because he is brave. Okay, and last I have my conclusion. I'm going to wrap up. In this piece, I might restate my opinion and do a little recap. Up to you. So I'm going to say Captain America is the best Avenger. I hope I convinced you. Now go watch these movies. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to restate that. I'd add more later, not sure. But this is a good layout for my piece when I start writing it. So now, folks, you have the basic bones of what you're going to be writing today, whether that's a narrative, an information book, or an opinion piece. Now, when you begin writing, I mentioned this before, but I'm going to say it again. This is not the only thing you're writing, right? You need to add details, okay? This is just a helpful tool to help you understand the order in which you're writing. You start with your introduction, then you go to number 1, number 2, and number 3, and your conclusion. That's not to say when you're getting to reason 1 here, he's the leader of the Avengers, you have to tell me why and how you know that, right? So don't forget, I'm going to show you this Foursquare writing tool that I have, because this one shows you here that it's not just number 1, your reason. You also need to add your supporting details before you get to your second square or grid, right? But now this time you're writing in complete sentences. So use this to help you. Now you know where to begin and where to end. So I'm going to get writing and show you what I mean. Let's take a look. So I'm going to work on opinion because that's what I planned for last. Take a look at how I add in supporting details as I write in complete sentences. Okay, guys, so I'm going to show you how I turn my Foursquare grid into the beginning of my opinion writing piece. So I used this as a guide, but I added more as I went. So this is what I came up with so far. I've only been writing for a few minutes. I'll show you what I came up with. It says, I put the date, opinion. The Avengers are a group of amazing superheroes that save the world and rescue people from danger. They all have unique superpowers that make them all very special. All of the Avengers are great in their own way, but Captain America is my favorite Avenger. Boom. That was only my introduction, right? I go back to my grid. That was only the centerpiece, right? I said my opinion, and I even used the sentence in that paragraph, but I added so much more before that, okay? I said all the Avengers are great, but Captain is the best. Now I'm going to go on to my first reason. Let's see what I wrote in paragraph 2. First, Captain America is my favorite Avenger because he is the leader of the Avengers. That was my reason 1, right? He is the leader. Now I'm going to say more. For example, he tells other Avengers like Thor and Hulk what to do because he is an expert soldier. Also, in Avengers Endgame, he tells the Avengers assemble, and they all fight to defeat the villain Thanos. Captain is an excellent leader, okay? That was only reason 1, but I added all this detail before I get to reason 2. Now I'm going to get to reason 2 in my grid, which is he has the best superpowers. Next, Captain's my favorite because he has the best superpowers. Now I'm going to begin writing more just about that before I get to reason 3 and my conclusion. Okay, folks, so this is just a guide. It is not all you should be writing when you draft today, okay? Please understand that, it's very important. So folks, today, remember, I can draft, we're in the drafting stage, but before you do that, you plan the structure of your writing and get ready to write. The way you're gonna plan is to use that Foursquare grid I showed you, depending on which genre you would like to write in today. And then, once you do that, you're gonna start writing, just like I did here. So I will leave you to it so that I can go finish my opinion piece on Captain America, because I'm excited. And I'm excited to see your narrative pieces, whether you do that today, your opinion pieces, whether you do that, or your information pieces. Pick one to do today, plan it with your grid, and then start writing it. Good luck, writers.